November has begun the same way that October ended for the Phoenix Suns. They have now won 5 consecutive games, pushing their record to 6-1 early this season after a pretty nice win against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Twin Towers came to town with Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns and this new look Minnesota Timberwolves. And much akin to the 5 teams before them, they go home empty-handed, Matthew. What a game.
Yeah.
What a game.
Yeah, no, awesome. More questions answered from the Suns. You have Chris Paul showing up in the fourth. We see that Saric is back. He can play with Jock. That looked great. Mikal and Cam can kind of cover Book, and how Book, he had a rough night tonight. A lot of attempts, a lot of misses. So they covered his ass on a lot tonight. So yeah, a couple more questions we had, especially Cameron Johnson, just our answer tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves team that doesn't play much defense when Karl Anthony Towns is in the lineup. So that's good.
Yeah, I think that, again, that's the story of the regular season for the Phoenix Suns, right? We've talked about this in the offseason. How does the regular season really matter? No, after you've been to the finals and then you've won 64 games and lost in the playoffs, it's all about just getting back to the playoffs. You want that next opportunity to be in a position to go and win a championship. But what the regular season is, it's a journey to get there. And you're going to see different chapters of that journey. And the chapter tonight was just that. Devin Booker can have an off game and he can be covered. The Twins are excelling on both ends of the floor. The Minnesota Timberwolves are still a team that is a little bit discombobulated, but Anthony Edwards is a stud in the making. So, and Chris Paul, while he continues to age, he's aging gracefully because he's finding a way to stay as productive as possible, especially when this team needs it the most. So while we can't wait for the playoffs, and trust me, we'll wait. It's November 1st. We got quite some time until we hit those playoffs. It's all about the journey that's going to ultimately make that destination so remarkable, beautiful, and amazing.
Yeah, and they look a little bit more complete than last year right now. There's just more there. I mean, you have Ayton who's missing, and then Booker was in foul trouble. Coach Fallen Founder tweeted that it's like, NBA, like the Suns look a little bit deeper. And right now, too, in the NBA, a lot of these teams, they're coming full force. There's not a whole lot of injuries. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these teams are playing. They have their guys. So that's what's more exciting, I feel like, about this season.
Yeah, it's a fun early season to see some of these matchups come to town and to see how the Suns are going to navigate taking on those. I mean, the Timberwolves a different kind of look. When you have Karl Anthony Towns at your 4 and the Phoenix Suns have Cameron Johnson at their 4, it's definitely just a different look. And to see how they prepare for that, how they ultimately take advantage of it, because take advantage of it they did tonight. That's for sure. We'll talk about Cam Johnson. We're going to talk about plenty on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us live after the game. If you happen to be watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, if you are on the YouTube feed, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, hit that bell notification. It'll let you know when we go live, which is after every Phoenix Suns game. And again, hitting that thumbs up button, it helps with the algorithms. Whenever people search for Phoenix Suns on YouTube, it takes them right to the Suns Jam Session. Blah, blah, blah. If you're listening, go ahead, subscribe, rate, and review, all that fun stuff. Apple Podcasts, leave a review. Nobody does, but I'll still continue to plug it, Matthew. I love it when people write reviews on Apple because, I like reading them on the pod, man. But, they're generally pretty good and pretty fun, thought out, and they're funny. So,
yeah, don't forget about Spotify either. Just Spotify, do the 5 stars real quick. We're at 4.9 all of a sudden.
Yeah,
we were at 5
good reviews. Yeah. I want to meet that guy.
Who's the dick, huh?
Who's the dick? She's a pork chop. That's what I hear. You can follow the show at Suns Jam on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can follow Matthew on Twitter
at Matthew Lucy.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Darth Voida. You can also read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com, which, Matthew, before the game today, I put together an article talking about different bets that you can make. NBA's TNT on Tuesday night with DraftKings, taking a look at a couple lines. And I said, hey, if you want to, you should take the Bulls money line, which was plus 100. And you should take the under on tonight's game, which was 227.5. Matthew, what was the total of tonight's game?
No idea. Where's the score?
Let's do a little math here. Right, 116 plus 107 is 223. So if you listened to my article, it was a plus 21. You would have hit on both bets. I look like a genius tonight. So make sure you read me on Brightside as well. I think it's worth it. And I pretty much say, hey, if we bet enough money, we can buy the Suns together. So let's do that, Suns fans. Let's do that. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this bad boy started. Let's pop a beer if we got. I don't know about you, Matthew, but I'm having one of those days where I definitely need a beer. You ever had those days where you just like need a beer? It's a Tuesday.
I do, but then I don't drink beer. So
I
really want
corn.
one, but I don't. Yeah,
it's got corn.
Exactly.
Unless it's Bud Light, then it has no corn.
That sucks.
Yeah, I just had one of those long days. I was up at like 3 a.m. because my sciatic nerve couldn't go back to sleep from all that running. Last night is Forrest Gump going trick-or-treating and running around work all damn day.
I'm kind of jealous of your sciatic nerve. Like the Sunny episode where
you
Frank
can fuck right off.
No, like you give it more attention than me, man.
What do you know what
I want the attention you give it.
You go ahead and get my sciatic nerve. You can have all this pain, man. You can have all this pain. But then a long day at work. So you know what?
No, it sucks.
Suns fans, pop them if you got them. 6-1 Phoenix Suns. Let's go. Let's start talking about this game on this edition of the Suns Jam Session Sciatic Nerve. 116-107. The Phoenix Suns dominate the fourth quarter once their starters come back in, which brings me to my first question, Matthew.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask. Where at any point during that fourth quarter, when the Phoenix Suns gave up that lead, they didn't give it up. It shrunk from 18 with all the reserves in there. Were you worried at any point, or were you just like, yeah, Monty's going to bring in the starters. We're going to win the game, and we'll do a podcast afterwards?
I didn't think that. I was worried, but the only reason that I wasn't like we might lose this game was because Towns was over there. Towns was over there on the bench, and I looked at him when they showed him. He seemed kind of upset. The Wolves came back, and it was mostly defense, and they even said like how their defense is better without him on the court and just with Gobert and the rest of the dudes. Then I was like, okay, well, Towns has to come back in. And this used to happen, I feel like, to the Suns a lot, where we would be down by like 20 points, 15 points, and come back, and then it would be 2-point lead, from the other team. And then there was a timeout. Then we had to put back some other guys that didn't really get us there. And then all of a sudden, it's another blowout. And that's what happened tonight. I'm like, bring Towns back in, because to me, I don't feel like Towns really belongs still. I really don't. I know Gobert sometimes is like, he's very slow defensively and all that, but I was just thinking, I'm like, if they bring back Towns, what you're going to get is a 0. Offensively, yeah, I guess, but then he holds the ball too much. He does too much for himself. He's too selfish of a player, complaining about players and stuff towards the end of the game when he comes back in. So when I saw him on the bench, I was like, dude, if this guy comes back in, it'll be over. And the Suns bring back their starters, and it kind of evens out, and they hustle, and they did everything that the T-Wolves did to get back into the game. We just did better, and that's why it was almost another blowout this game.
It's so funny you say that, because I thought the exact same thing. When the Minnesota Timberwolves made that run, it's when Karl-Anthony Towns was kicking it on the bench. And the moment that they decided, you know what, we're going to go and bring him back in, was the moment that I go, oh, shit, Suns are good. Because of his isolation ball, because he doesn't play defense. He doesn't know where to play defense right now. That's the other side of this. He doesn't know, because normally he plays the 5, and he's played the 5. He's played a little 4 here and there, but normally he plays the 5. So when he doesn't know where to go on defense, guys start to just, go in fuego from all over the court, but primarily from beyond the arc.
Lights, Cameron, action.
This is a great day, Jamsters. I know Matthews, you clearly look at him. Look how excited he is. He's just, the first drop goes to Cameron Johnson tonight, which means he had obviously an amazing game in this one. Cam Johnson, 33 minutes played. Matthew, do you know what his field goal makes and his field goal attempts were?
No, but I can look. Let me see. Do you want to just tell me?
It's 10-17, my birthday.
Oh, okay. I should have guessed that.
Yeah, when I set you up that easy. Come on.
What am I doing?
10 makes on 17 attempts, including 7 of 11 from beyond the arc. He had 29 points to lead all scorers in this game. He also had 3 steals. And as one of our Jamsters who's watching along live with us, Landon Alverson says, play of the game. McHale turnover. Cam Johnson strips what should have been a fast break layup by Anthony Edwards, mind you, then saves the ball. Then CP3 deflects another pass. And finally, Johnson hits the three. Cam Johnson had an absolutely fantastic game in this one. You know, the game we've kind of been waiting a little bit for. The breakout, you know what, I'm going to the shots are going to fall, and once they start to fall, they keep falling for him. And I love how, again, we were talking about Karl-Anthony Towns. It's Karl-Anthony Towns who's getting burned because, again, this team doesn't do a good job defending the perimeter. They don't know how to, because Karl-Anthony Towns instinctively on defense wants to shade to the interior because that's where he lives. And he starts shading. He's like, oh, shit. Oh, Rudy, you're there. And while he's looking at Rudy, like Cam Johnson's just like nailing a three. And that's the story of this game in a nutshell.
Yeah, but that's always been Cat too, and
yeah,
you know,
just lost
the play of the game. Yeah, that was brought up, and that was almost like every play. I feel like in the fourth quarter when the Suns would make that comeback, there was tips, steal, throw it out. You're almost out of bounds, throw it in. Oh, nothing but net. It was almost like that every play for the Suns because it was a nonstop hustle. They were just running circles around the Wolves. Cameron Johnson, like him and McHale, but mostly Cam, like he is just he's able to do what he was doing tonight. Of course, he's left open. And I don't want to say it's like, oh, it's just threes, but dude, when the threes are falling from Cam, it's like a beautiful thing.
Oh, so
I mean, 7 of 11 is ridiculous. It's not going to happen all the time, but he was hitting them on the fast break. And my play of the game from him was the fast break layup. Then the next play, unless that's the one he was talking about, the next play he runs down and he has a little 3-point shot that goes in. That was my play of the game for sure, because I feel like that's what kind of started everything in the third quarter. Cam did everything though. Offensively, it was mid-range. He had like the one mid-range shot, the three, get into the rim. But the way that the Wolves are, it's like they give you space. I think the one time they were actually playing defense was in the fourth quarter when they made that comeback. That was intense defense. That was scary.
That was
they were getting steals. Yeah. And then but before that, after that, it was just easy. It was easy because there was a lot of space in between him and the defender. This Wolves team, I think they play hard when you have Edwards and Gobert out there, but then when Towns is in there, like you said, Towns is kind of just sunk into the middle. He doesn't know what to do. Even if he guards you on the perimeter, he's easy to go around. So he's really bad in those situations. He's like opposite of what Ayton is. So Cameron Johnson and Mikal Bridges, they both fed on it tonight. But Cameron Johnson, this is an all-time game. This is his breakout game, maybe this season. 7 threes will not happen again, but we'll see how he continues to play after this game.
Well, that's the key. You know, I mean, last year when he had his breakout game, quote unquote, it was against the Knicks. And then unfortunately, because of the physicality of that game against Julius Randle, where I think he was running purely on adrenaline that game, he was out for like 25 games with a hamstring issue after that. So like we got that game that you and I were just like craving from Cam Johnson. Then like he was gone. Yeah. And now, you know, I haven't seen any injury reports. He seems fine. Let's see if he does build upon this, because obviously a Cam Johnson who plays like this takes pressure off of other aspects of this starting rotation. And, you know, again, Devin Booker doesn't have to try to carry the load each and every night. And kudos to Anthony Edwards. I will say that, man. This kid's a stud. The way that he plays on both ends of the court, his defensive intensity, you know, Devin Booker was taken out of this game. Devin Booker didn't have a bad night. He shot for 6 for 18, 2 of 7 from beyond the arc. He had 5 assists. He had 7 total rebounds. He had the 5 personal fouls. He had 18 total points. It's not because he had a bad night because he was just shooting and having a rough night shooting. It's because Anthony Edwards was a fucking pest. He was insane on defense. Landry Shamet then comes in after Devin Booker gets his 5th foul. He instantly locks up Landry Shamet. Landry's doing everything he can, shoots, gets blocked. I mean, he is really fun to watch. And to your point, where Rudy Gobert and him play well together, if you're the brass for the Minnesota Timberwolves, do you start exploring ways to get rid of Karl-Anthony Towns? Because it's like one of these things does not look like the others. And as much shit as we give Rudy Gobert for being kind of who he is, especially come postseason, we've seen guards be successful with him in the past in Donovan Mitchell. Karl-Anthony Towns is just kind of, he's a black hole on both sides of the court, man.
Yeah, they've been with him for far too long. It has to end sometime. I think it's this year. Him and D'Lo. D'Lo has to go. There's just, and we'll talk about it in the subreddit stakeout too, how much the fans love D'Lo. They're not big fans of his either. I mean,
I'm sure.
just because he's the same way. And there's so many
Yeah.
times during the game where you see after the play, either you see D'Lo just saying like, "Oh, sorry, my bad. I'll get you next time." Like,
Yeah,
I'll get
yeah.
you next time. But how many times is that going to happen until you
His whole
actually
career.
Yeah, exactly. Until you actually figure things out. Same thing with Cat. He has his own fights in the corner with himself, complaining about about the ball not being passed around or something, and then someone makes a three, then he's like still talking crap. I just don't understand it. I think that Gobert, of course, isn't much offensively, but when you have him down there defensively, and then you have Edwards, it's scary. And at times, like even saw like Naz Reid in this game,
Mhm.
who they kept saying on the broadcast on TNT, like this guy wants more minutes. I could see how annoying
Yeah.
he is. That guy is a freak, and that guy seems like he understands how like Edwards wants to play is just physical, tough, and like he only had 3 rebounds tonight, but it seemed like he was always down there making a mess. So you have those guys. It's just you have to get rid of, I think, of Towns. It's never going to work with that dude.
It hasn't to this point. And like you said, they've tried a million different things with this guy. And now they're trying something drastic, and they're bringing in Rudy Gobert. They're paying him $40 million. And they're saying, okay, yeah, no, this will work. We'll figure this out. Because Karl Anthony Towns probably in the offseason bitching and moaning to the front office, like, look how great I am from beyond the arc. This is what I want to do. They're like, dude, you're like 7 foot. He's like, yeah, but look how great I am. They're like, okay, Carl, let's go ahead and we'll get a center down there so you don't have to play those. It's like Anthony Davis, right? Anthony Davis never wants to play the 5. It's the same thing with Karl Anthony Davis. Like, oh, Carl, like if you want to hang out behind the arc and just chuck threes, we'll make it happen. And again, he doesn't know what to do defensively. And every time he takes a shot from beyond the arc, personally, I feel like that's a win because he's not a follow the shot kind of guy. So if you got this big body, your power forward who's just chucking up threes and then just like kind of leaving his hand up and walking away as it bricks off the fucking cylinder, he's not crashing the glass. Advantage Suns. So they made it pesky for Rudy Gobert to get rebounds. Ultimately on the night he had 9 rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns ended up with 10. 5 of those were on the offensive end. But Karl Anthony Towns went for 24 and 10. But it was a silent 24 and 10.
That's what he always does.
You're like, whoa, wow, that was 24 and 10. Rudy Gobert was 7 and 9. I mean, they can neutralize one of those guys because, I mean, did you watch whenever they would run a high screen and it would be off of Rudy Gobert and they do a dribble handoff to him and he's standing, 26 feet from the cylinder, everybody just backs the fuck away. They can play drop defense on him because he's not going to do anything. He can't drive, So, I mean, again, it's a weird, it's like having 2 puzzle pieces that not only don't fit, but they're just like from different puzzles. And that's what they're trying to figure out in Minnesota. That's what they're trying to do. And the Suns are a very, very, I mean, let's face it. And this is, kind of my takeaway. The Suns are a really, really good basketball team, man. Like we know this. We watched them last year, 64 and 18. We saw them go to the finals. And as we started this season 6-1 with our only loss coming in an overtime game in which DeAndre Ayton had to hit 2 free throws to tie it, and Dame Lillard said something got in his head, and then they still had a chance to win that game. This team is very, very good. They play basketball the right way. They play defensive aggressively, as we saw when the starters came back in. And one thing that Stan Van Gundy said on the TNT broadcast that I was like, you know what? Like, we see it all the time, so we're probably almost blind to it. We just don't think about it enough. They take really, really good shots, man. Like, they take really good shots. And that's half the battle in the NBA these days, because then you watch the Timberwolves, they take really bad shots, man.
Yeah, and you know what, Cat is just so opposite for me. Naden doesn't put up the stats, but then when he has good games, it's like 16 and 8 or something. But we know we got a good DA game because of the way he plays physically down there. And it's so opposite from Cat, where he just steps away. The points are always there, the rebounds are always there. But some dumbass bitch says Cat for Draymond. You know what?
That would be interesting.
If the Wolves can get like another shooter or another couple shooters, I don't know, off the bench or someone that can blend in there, you get Draymond. That's scary because that's defense, and then you have a couple extra shooters. Because you just need real shooters, real players that know how to play. That's what they would need. That's what they would need because Pat can shoot, but it's not going to help the offense as a whole at all.
Well, again, 24 points, but you take a look at the rest of their lineup. Jaden McDaniels has 4 points. D'Lo has 5 points in this game. You know, you talked about Naz Reid. He came in off the bench and he had 13 points. I mean, they have some talent, but Karl-Anthony Towns demands so much, and he played 36 minutes in this game that it ultimately takes away from the opportunity of others. I think that's what you're referencing a little bit earlier. And again, that's a challenge that they're going to have to face in this game or in this season. And there's going to be runs where they're going to figure it out. You know why they're going to figure it out? Because they have Anthony Edwards, Matthew. Because that guy's a fucking stud, and he's going to go ahead and he's going to have the ability to carry games and carry stretches for this team because he's that talented. I'm telling you, 2 or 3 years, like Anthony Edwards is going to be like an all-NBA first teamer. Like after the Steph Curry, Dame Lillard, you know, some of those guys kind of fade into the sunset when Devin Booker is kind of really at his peak, which he's kind of at right now. But in a couple, you know, about 3 or 4 seasons, and we start to see those new guys, you know, like Devin Booker got on the first team all-NBA last season, right? So that was kind of the first step of the next generation of guards, him, Ja Morant. You know, these are going to be the guys whose names you're going to start to hear more and more as the James Hardens and, you know, all these guys who perennially are on the All-NBA team, not necessarily because they've earned it, but because their reputation has got them there. Anthony Edwards is going to be one of those guys perennially who's going to be a first, second, or third team All-NBA guy. You could see it right now. And it's like if you are a fan of the Timberwolves, you're looking at that, and then you're looking at what's around him. You're like, Jesus, fuck Christ, get me there. Get me to the 3 years from now. Just like we did for years with Devin Booker. We're like, fuck, just get me 3 years from now when he's got the right pieces around him.
And they are. I think the whole Gobert move, I think everyone's like, what are you trying to do? Just try to grab the best player. Maybe that's what they were doing, but I think really they had a plan of like, let's see how it works. If Cat's not still working out, we can trade someone. Yes. And Cat, okay, so if Edwards is awesome, when he has the ball at the end of the game, hit those 2 threes. He got it within 2. Then you take the ball away from him when Cat comes back in. That's the problem.
Yes. His gravity is way too much. And like you said, like he's like a God, who's a good example of a ball, like a Harden. Harden is a ball hogging guard.
Yeah.
And you know, and his usage rate, and it's essentially the whole team leaves what the Suns are good at. The Suns are good at moving the ball, cutting, back actions, high screen and roll, Spain pick and roll, doing all these different things. And the Timberwolves, they start to do those things. And then Cat comes in, he gets the ball, and it becomes just like any team that plays with James Harden. It's 4 guys watching James Harden dribble for 18 seconds. And that's what you get with Cat. He just stands back there. You know, he had that one play where he went in, and I think Busy was on him. And he did like 6 different like pivot moves. You know, and it was all in the lane. I'm like, call the fucking 3-second already. All these different pivot moves, and he finally like passes it to somebody who's cutting. I think it was Anthony Edwards, and then he was kind of stuck, so he threw it, and then Mikal Bridges steals it and starts a fast break. You know, and that's all predicated on the fact that you have a black hole in offense who wants that usage rate. He's all about the numbers, and we've known this for years. He's a big fucking baby. Cat is a huge baby, man. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's always crying. And I think, you know, obviously for a couple years there, we take a step back and we wouldn't really drill down on Karl-Anthony Towns because he's had a lot of tragedy in his life. And during those 2 years, we're like, hey, man, he's going through a lot. Like, you know, he's just got to process it like the rest of us. But guess what? This team has been invested in him. They're trying to set him up for success by bringing in Gobert. I don't know how that's going to work out. Nobody does. But at the same time, like, he continues to just have that, just like he mopes on the court. And there's nothing worse. If you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, you can empathize with this. When you got Kyler Murray and he throws the ball and the guy misses it and he's moping on the fucking field, you're like, fuck this guy, man. Like, this is a sport. Be competitive. You know, go and talk to your guys. Motivate them. Be a leader. Don't mope. And that's what Karl-Anthony Towns is. He's a fucking moper.
Yeah, and Booker used to be that way too. And then Chris Paul came along and that all changed. Booker had the worst body language 3 or 2 years ago. Right before Chris Paul came, he was terrible. He was a Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah, because they were homies.
And the Towns, like, he's always had kind of talent around him. He never had what Booker had. Booker didn't have anything until Chris Paul came.
Oh, agreed. And he's had Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
You know, and even Jimmy's like,
playing his own offense.
Guy.
Yeah, he's playing his own offense out there. It's not working, man.
No, not working at all. So sorry about the
20 minutes of that.
20 minutes on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Well, let's take a look at some of the performances for those of you who are listening to the pod or watching and you didn't see the game. Let's talk about how some of the Suns played.
The point guard.
Chris Paul tonight, 15 points, 12 assists, 5 of 12 from the field, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. He had 8 rebounds as well, so he was 2 rebounds shy of a triple-double. Continues to have a hard time shooting the ball. He did have a turnover in this game. So in his last 2 games combined, 27 assists, 1 turnover. And this is what I'm talking about aging gracefully with Chris Paul, right? His offensive shot, it just hasn't been there. Good, bad, or indifferent. But he's still navigating defenses. He's still putting the opposition in tough positions where they're trying to make decisions. And then he's finding the open guy, and the open guy's rewarding him by knocking him down. So even though Chris Paul is having to kind of take a step back offensively, it's exactly what this fucking team needs, because then you have the Twins and you have Devin Booker and you have other guys having the ability to step up, because Chris Paul isn't when it comes to offensive shooting. But those assists, man, I mean, he was the stabilizer in this game in that fourth quarter. He had a lot of that defensive intensity that helped propel the Phoenix Suns to a win tonight.
Yeah, it takes him a little bit longer to get more greased up in the game. A lot of good looks obviously coming out. And in the fourth quarter, 3 for 3, 1 3. And those are just big shots. Those are shots where it's like about, time to get ready for the pod. It's like, all right, here we go. It's about time to start doing the dishes you haven't done all day. You know what I mean? Just start doing stuff around the house. When he starts hitting those shots, then it's over. And it bothers me. The only thing that bothers me about him is like on the bench, he just seems like so upset with himself, doesn't he? Then I feel bad. Like I kind of feel bad for him. Like I feel bad because he is getting older and he's just like, damn, like, have I lost it? These shots should be going in. There's a lot of times when the Suns are on breaks, they're on like on a 6-0 run, and then he'll take a wide open 3 and miss it. He's done that multiple times. And you could just tell he's like, fuck, dude, these should be going in. And I think he just has to be more patient. I think it's coming to where those will go in, hitting the big shots.
Oh, yeah.
But right now, we got this in the game where he kind of helped close it out. So that's one thing we're looking forward to. A couple games ago, he had the really great game. What, he missed like one shot the whole time. So it's one thing to really worry about his shot, but the passing's still there. He's doing a great job of just kind of staying silent and just sticking to his role. I just can kind of see the pain on his face when he's sitting there on the bench. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry, but let's get this championship, please. And you'll feel awesome. You'll feel great. Even though it's just basketball, you'll feel great, man.
Oh no, I know, right? No, he's you're right. When he's on the sideline, I do see that kind of just like sad, lost look. Like he's looking at the court and he's almost like he's looking through it.
Yes,
just like he's kind of lost, and it's like, the physical ability is leaving him, and he's sitting there, he's contemplating what his next Jake from State Farm commercial is going to be. But when he comes in, he sets the tone by putting the team in a position to be successful. I mean, this team has nothing but talent and chemistry and everything that you need to be successful. And he's realizing, like, I can take a step back and I can just facilitate and be a pure facilitator and not need to have the usage rate that I had in the past. And guess what? We're not just winning games, we're beating the shit out of people. I mean, take a look at it. Like, we've had one close game. Well, we've had 2 close games. The first 2 games of the season were close. Damian Lee hit a great shot in the first game. We beat the Dallas Mavericks. We lost the game by 2 to the Portland Trailblazers. Every game since then, it's been like almost double digits, if not every one double digits. So, I mean, it's just like, Thomas Dennett, one of our elite jamsters. So if you want to be an elite jamster, go ahead and click the join button inside the YouTube chat. You can get some exclusive content, Jamsterdam content, if you will. He says he loves the CP3 role. I think it's fantastic. And again, his shots will start to go down much akin to how it did a couple nights ago, and then everything looks great. But at the end of the day, like 15 and 12 from Chris Paul, like, sign me up for that every day. 33 minutes played. Probably the only reason those minutes are a little bit higher is because the bench kind of sucked wind in that fourth quarter. If you take a look at some of the fourth quarter stats, Jock Landale was a -9 in the fourth. Torrey Craig was a -12. Cameron Payne was a -9, and that's all in like 3 minutes played. So Monty had to bring those starters back in pretty quick because the lead was just gone in an instant, because that second team unit, as great as they played spurts in this game, and as great as they've played this season, they couldn't carry it, because all of a sudden, as we mentioned earlier, Minnesota found their identity when the starters were on the bench, and they realized, okay, if Karl-Anthony Towns out, now's the time to go get it. And he brings him back in. So 33 minutes from Chris Paul, a little bit more than we want to, but at the same time, like, I'm A-okay with it, man. I'm A-okay with it.
Me too. And if he was such a big reason of why we were winning before, he was before, but like we have so many other guys now stepping up, they're evolving. If we didn't have that, it would be a concern. Even beginning of the season, I wasn't worried because we're still gonna win games. You know what I mean? Just let him work into it. So that's what he's doing right now. So I think we're doing okay.
I think
we're
we'll
doing
be
good.
all right.
Biz. Biz.
So Bismack Biyombo gets to start again tonight with DeAndre Ayton out. He was shooting around before the game. I saw Dave King tweet that out. So it looks like he's just around the corner from returning. But the Phoenix Suns are like, hey, we're winning games and we're kicking ass. Like,
Exactly.
why anybody back?
Just
Love
like Dak Prescott. Yeah.
busy. Just like Dak Prescott in his hand. His left hand got stepped on by the Bears.
Of course.
Oh shit. Is today what day is today?
Tuesday.
Okay. I still got times to make my survivor pick. Sorry, complete side note. So you take a look at Bismack Biyombo tonight. 29 minutes played, had 8 points, was 4 or 5 from the field, had 4 block shots, Matthew. My favorite block shot, my favorite one is the one on Karl Anthony Towns, where Karl Anthony, is slow-mo driving. He thinks he's finally got it. And then Busy not only blocks it, but he keeps it alive. And then, starts a fast break for the Phoenix Suns. And Mike V. Hill from the Timeline podcast tweeted something out during the game, and it was probably my favorite tweet of the game. It says, Gobert is just a $40 million version of Biyombo. Isn't that true? It's just like you're paying $40 million. You can have Busy for whatever the hell we're paying him.
Yeah, I mean, yes, exactly. It's like, but then you also can go down another step and say like Busy's like a cheaper version of what Ayton is. You know what I mean? So the 6 blocks is insane. I feel like he teleports himself underneath the basket. Was it 4? Sorry.
Yeah, it's
I
4.
thought you said 6.
I said 4.
Okay. You said 6, but
I definitely said 4. 100%.
He teleports underneath the basket. Something just the floor removes and he comes straight up. Because I swear every time the ball is down there when he's on the court, he's either there to swat it, deter it, or he's even down there offensively to put it back in. Like he is just always there, great positioning. And that's the thing with this team, with Minnesota. Like when you come into the game, that's what we talked about, the size and second chance points and stuff like that. But then after like going into halftime, points in the paint, Wolves were up only 24-16. Second chance points, 9-6 Wolves. Fast break points, that was another thing. The pace, it was 6-6. But Biyombo is a guy that can come in there and he understands just positioning and making sure that those guys are further away from the basket. Because if Gobert is there, he's slow and he'll tip it back in, but he's super slow. So if you push him back a little bit further, it's harder for him to get to the ball. He's just slow to react. So the box outs where he was actually positioning himself on the rebounds was perfect. Him and Jock did a pretty decent job all night. Biyombo was just insanely good tonight. It's totally true when you watch Biyombo play. It's been so consistent all year, but then also in a TNT game, people are watching like, dude, like this guy's a beast. It's like this guy was just signed on last year to the Suns. He has to take on a bigger role this year because of DeAndre Ayton's injury, and it's no sweat. This guy's really stepped up to the plate, man. He's doing everything we asked and even more.
Well, you think about it, with Chris Paul being a pure facilitator, and you have Bismack Biyombo being a pure rim protector, you need your wings to perform in order for you to be successful. And that's what the Phoenix Suns are doing. So they're allowing both Chris Paul and Bismack Biyombo a chance to thrive in their roles because they're not needed to do anything outside of what those roles are expected. Again, when he hits those little hook shots, it just gets, every one of those is a bonus. Every one of those is a bonus. And Christian in the chat says, what is he getting paid this year? Love this guy. So much heart. He's getting paid $2.9 million.
He's going to a hospital.
Yeah.
Well, last year.
It's last year was, maybe this year's like, oh shit, I need the money. But at the same time, like what, price for value paid, it's exactly what you need from this guy. And when you have a game when you're going against, like you already know that he's not going to have to play a ton of interior defense against Rudy Gobert because Rudy's just not an interior, dominant presence. So he could sag off a little bit and get some of those other block shots on other guys. And it's just unbelievably productive for this Phoenix Suns team. Again, price for value paid, like that's how you develop a championship caliber team is you have people like Bismack Biyombo who in stretches of the regular season can step up. Now, the other side of this coin is we finally could take a little smoke break today, Matthew.
The Saric smoke break.
All right. It wasn't much. Okay. It was 5 minutes that he played, but he was 1 for 1. Yeah. It was from beyond the arc, 3 points, for Dario Saric and 3 rebounds. Tell me what you saw from Dario Saric in his mighty return since the first game of the regular season. It's everything that Suns Jam Session podcast has been wanting.
Yeah, it was one thing where it's like, well, Jock's taking his minutes, but then he comes in and Jock's in there too. So it's like, what are you gonna see?
Yeah.
You see Jock and Saric can do a lot of the same things, and they played very well together. They kind of split the court on offense, and they made sure to facilitate the ball around. They both can do that. They both can shoot threes. They both can like box out very well. But yeah, they're connecting both sides on the court. But that is just so fun to know that like if we do go up against these bigger lineups, we can bring in Saric with Jock just to like wreak some havoc in there and just make sure that we can actually get some tip outs or whatever. Saric, of course, comes in. What, second play, gets hit in the face or something, is on the ground trying to get the rebound. It's like, fuck yeah, that's what we miss. That's always on the floor, always
rolling
trying to go for
around,
the ball, getting hit in the face, just getting knocked over, no balance at all. Then he hits a 3, and then the broadcasters are like, oh, he can do that too. I'm like, yeah, he can sometimes, but it looks really good when it goes in. Good to have him back, man. I couldn't believe he came in. So I guess we can get rid of the whole trade stuff and all that bullshit, which I think it was maybe just getting his feet underneath himself and training a little bit behind the scenes. Who knows?
Man, it's just this team's so deep. That's what I love about it. The fact that, again, for those of you who are new to the pod, we have this strange love affair with Dario Saric and his Dario Saric gives everybody hope that one day they could be a member of a professional basketball organization, because I could fall down as gracefully as he does. I could spend half my minutes. He's in there 5 minutes, 2.5 of those minutes he was on the floor. I mean, that's just the Dario Saric game. But it's great. And Melissa Moore says, I'll smoke a doobie for Dario. You do that. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for like a good dispensary sponsor. So if anybody knows somebody, like come sponsor the Suns Jam Session podcast, because we literally have a segment called the Smoke Break for Dario Saric. Like, come on. It's like,
yeah, we could switch a cigarette in for a doobie.
Yeah, I could put a doob in there. But like, again, it's good to see him back out there. Do we need a ton of productivity from him? No. But knowing that this was an interesting night, we were going against the Twin Towers, right? The Twin Towers for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and knowing that you could put Jock Landale out there pretty much twice, because it's like Jock Landale, and then like, Jock Landale if you smoked a pack of Marlboros, and like that's what you put out there in him and Dario. And like you nailed it. For 5 minutes, it wreaked havoc. And even the Timberwolves like looking at each other like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, what's going on here? How do we react? How do we box out? Because this isn't a traditional rebounding duo. Jock Landale has the ability to kind of be exactly where the ball needs to be. And then like you're afraid to jump up for a rebound because Dario's probably on the ground and you can land on him. So that being said, their twins have nothing on our twins.
And twins.
Dude, this was Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson combined tonight for 48 points. They combined tonight for 7 assists. Only 5 rebounds, Matthew.
Oh, no.
Trade them.
No, but I mean, they contributed to a lot of rebounds. I feel like they were in there trying to take some heads off, which is good enough in this kind of games where you just got to put a body on somebody. But you saw them. This was insane how they played together this way. And the broadcast even mentioned, like, I want to see Mikal in the All-Star game. I'm like, oh, yeah, let's get that going. Like, that can be something for real. I think
that narrative.
He can make it in front of Ayton. I think he can get that nod in front of Ayton the way he's been playing. And when you have both of them playing this way, I don't know how you stop it. You can't. The wings playing this way, and it's still very unselfish. And they both get great numbers. Their star Booker still gets decent numbers. They share the ball so well. But Mikal to the rim more, that's always one thing. I mean, when that's happening, you kind of know. I mentioned it before. It's because the Wolves don't know how to play defense, mostly because they don't put their body on anybody till in the fourth quarter. They started to do that. But when the body's not on them, not on Cam or Mikal, they have some moves now. They can get around some guys. And dude, it's good to have the twins playing this way, because there was like a poll: if KD were to be traded, would you still want him on the Suns? I automatically hit yes today. Like, yes, of course I did. And then you have games like this. It's like, what am I doing? Do I not believe in this duo enough? No, you not
believe
at all?
in 2K. You believe in 2K.
I believe
it's all about chemistry. And I think that, this is what we're looking for this year from these two guys. The growth, right? Like, that's what we talked about. One of the biggest opportunities entering this season is the fact that both of these guys had a full, true offseason. I think Cameron Johnson's case, I think it is his first full true offseason due to COVID and shortened seasons and NBA finals runs and what have you. So they got to spend time in the lab this summer. And in doing so, they came back more mature, a better understanding of what their role is. They've worked on aspects of their game on both offensive and defense. And Mikal Bridges was fucking fantastic tonight on defense. He was go-go gadget everywhere. He was making all the steals. You know, Anthony Edwards will have a sick move, and all of a sudden it's just like, boop, ball's out on the ground, and it's Mikal Bridges knocked it out. He intercepts his pass. I mean, it was just, the guy was everywhere. He's starting fast breaks. He's getting to the line. And I love that Stan Van Gundy said, this guy needs to be an all-star, and I don't feel he gets enough credit, even though he was second overall in the Defensive Player of the Year voting, and he was a first-team All-NBA defensive player. Everybody's like, yeah, no, Mikal Bridges is really good, but like, it's nights like tonight that solidify exactly who and what he is in this league. And his versatility and his ability to go ahead and execute on offense. Again, he was 7 of 10 from the field, 1 of 2 from beyond the arc, 19 points. He led everybody. He was a plus 20 tonight. You know, this is why Mikal Bridges and the time that he had to develop in the offseason was so vital to how this team's going to perform this year. You know, you take a look at it thus far entering tonight, he was already shooting 63.2% from the field as your small forward. 63.2. That's like big man numbers. Those are like DA numbers, getting, you know, the guys who are getting layups all the time. And he's shooting jumpers, he's shooting threes. You know, he's averaging 15.3 points entering this game. And his growth is, again, paramount to the success of this team and the growth of this organization. And he's doing it consistently now, man. I think we had the one game 2 games ago when you and I are like, dude, why does Mikal disappear? That's the only time he disappeared all season. Every other game, he's putting in the effort, and he's really starting to solidify himself as an elite player, not only on this team, but in the NBA.
Yeah, and he actually, I think, thrives from the chaos on offense where you just have those plays where the balls are being tipped everywhere, and then, you know, one's being saved or one's rolling on the ground right by the paint area, and he picks it up and it does those little mid-range jumpers. Like, you know, he loves those ones. Like, he just knows where to be, where the ball's going to end up, and whether it's rolling on the floor or off the glass. His rebounding is not as great, but it doesn't matter. Like, I feel like Cameron Johnson's kind of stepping up a little bit better at bodying guys, so he doesn't have to focus on that too much. But just knowing where to be offensively with this team, it's ridiculous, and I feel so weird and different watching them. Like, I feel like I'm blossoming or something like this. Not
growing.
Me, maybe
you're growing too.
Maybe this offense, but it just feels like something's like blossoming. Maybe I'll have a good dream about it tonight and explain it better on the next pod.
Well, I mean, do some microdosing, you know, let me know what you find about both yourself and your relationship with this organization and this team. And then, yeah, we'll talk about it. I mean, again, the thing that I really took away from today is just, this is a fucking amazing team. And again, I mean, you and I, for years now, we've been doing post-game podcasts, and we were blessed to go ahead and do that during this team and this franchise's best team ever, 64-18. And what made that team so great last year was their performance in the clutch. We've never seen anything like it. A team that was just like, yo, you get to 5 minutes, like, this team is fucking lethal. What we're seeing now is like they don't even have to get to that point. This is the next step in the growth. And again, I know it's early, and I know it's 7 games in. We're not even 10% of the way through the season. That happens at like the 5-minute mark of the 9th game. That's like 8.2, you know, whatever. That's 10%. But that being said, like, I know it's a small sample size, but these are good habits that we're seeing. I talk about it with my team all the time. We got to develop good habits, right? Like, I work at a community that's kind of small. We don't have a bunch of residents yet. It's an independent living community, and we're eventually going to grow, and we're going to have, 300 people on site. But right now we got 40. So let's develop those good habits right now. So when we get busy, everything kind of takes care of itself because we're developing good habits. That's all the regular season is. It's learning to develop those good habits. And that's what this team is doing. That's what Mikal Bridges is doing. Cameron Johnson's doing. Devin Booker, again, he's as solid as he can be. He gets locked up. It's going to happen. There's going to be nights. We've seen it a couple times already this season where the sole purpose of the defense is we are not letting Devin Booker beat us. But because of the talent around him on this team, both offensively and defensively, they're winning, and they're winning handily because those teams have done a good job developing those good habits.
Yeah, but also Booker's still getting really good looks, and there's just these games he has where they won't go in. It's usually starting early, but here you go. Thank you, $5 from Black Sunday.
Yep. Thank you
This is
for
actually
hitting us up in the super chat. If you want to donate to the podcast, join us live on YouTube. You can donate $5 like Black Sunday did. It helps fund all this amazing content that we come up for you after every game.
Yeah, he actually brought up a good point. I wanted to actually ask you this too. Just me,
Okay.
or does this team feel different this year? And if we add another solid piece, we're going on a finals run. The first part of that, does it feel different than last year?
It does to me. Again, I kind of gave all my reasons why. I
Yeah.
really feel, and I think you did too. It's like I really feel like this is a different team.
But is it because I think it's because maybe Chris Paul isn't like really taking over as much. I feel like this team, because we play these teams now like tonight and they came back, but I feel like we're kind of blowing these teams out a little bit more. Like we're having a more comfortable lead in the
we're
fourth
playing
quarter.
good teams too. It's not like we're playing
Yeah.
shit. Now, Minnesota's kind of one of those good like fake good teams because they had a really easy schedule and they lost. But I mean, we've played some really good teams up to this point and we've looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think that because we're taking the ball out of his hand more and Cameron Payne stepped up too, that it's just kind of like we're growing these leads faster and it just seems more enjoyable so far.
Well, to Black Sunday's point, Matthew, if they add another piece, they're going to be on a finals run. What do you think about that? Do they need to add that other piece to go on a finals run, or are they already set up to do so?
Can you imagine though? Okay, I don't even care about the KD thing anymore, even though I just said we should trade for him. It depends if I
love this team. It's different this year. It's like, okay, but give me KD anyways.
You know what? If we can get someone like coming off the bench like Clarkson, that'd be awesome. But then also the SGA thing there, I think it's there.
It'll never happen. It'll never happen.
I know, but I'm just saying if that happens, and yeah, that's what we need.
Don't say that on Twitter. You'll get fucking crucified like I did. Upside down like St. Peter. I think that there's another piece to add, obviously, because we're missing Jae Crowder. All this is imagine Jae Crowder right now. Imagine how he feels sitting at home, sitting at like empty arenas, having people take his picture from behind. Hey, dude, take my picture. Show people I'm working. And then like you look at it, and you're like, yeah, he's gonna brick that free throw, but they took it mid-shot. Imagine him, because essentially what he's trying to do is trying to say, I have value. Okay, and you're not going to pay me. You're not going to give me a contract extension. I want some sense of security, which is understandable. He's 32 years old. He wants kind of that last contract that's really going to provide him security, even though if you gave me one contract for 1 year, like he would be making for $10 million, I'd be secure for the rest of my life. But hey, some people live outside their means. Okay. But essentially what he did prior to the season is he gambled. And he goes, you know what? Like, I want security and I want to go to a team in which I can be a starter. And the Suns are like, okay, like we'll see what we can do, dude. But if you don't want to show up, all right, whatever. And then like the market dictates the value, and the market's dictating like, yeah, like Jae Crowder, you can be a starter if you want to come play in fucking like Detroit. Like, how do you like Orlando this time of year? We're a young team, but even them, they're like, we're a young team, we don't need you. So then he kind of releases through Chris Haynes the whole story. Well, like I never said I didn't want to be a starter. I just want to kind of get an opportunity. It's like, well, dude, you have a team that went to the NBA Finals, a team that won 64 games, and you're choosing not to play with them, and they're fucking thriving. So what they're showing even more is they're decreasing your value with every win, because it's like, dude, like this team, they could have been better without you. Is that what you're telling me? So I mean, he's really about to be kicking himself in the butt while people are taking his pictures in empty arenas in Georgia.
I didn't see that, and honestly, I don't know really what happened, obviously, and I don't really want to judge the dude for doing what he's doing.
I know I'm being facetious. It's a podcast, and I run my mouth.
No, I know. We always talk crap, and everyone talks crap about everybody, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's not real.
But the only reason I say that is because I just think that now that you're looking at the Suns team, yeah, they can win without him. But also, you brought up such a good point. It's like, which team is going to take this guy on? Like, he's not going to get a starting role unless it's a shitty team. But plus, he would have still got minutes with this team. Like, he would have been, his value would still be there. The how much money is coming up, I don't even know next season or next 2 seasons with the new TV deal or whatever. Like, people are handing out money. Like, these teams are going to be signing players for a lot of money, and it's going to be a lot more than they deserve, right? For certain roles. So 100%. If you come on, if he was on this team averaging, like, he can get 20 minutes a game for the bench, that would be huge. It would still be the same Jae Crowder. He just wouldn't be a starter, right? Russell Westbrook is now coming off the bench and stuff, and I think like that team is kind of figuring things out. Maybe I think he's been out or whatever, but it's hard for these players to really accept the fact that I'm a bench player, but he was a bench player before. Like, I don't understand this whole thing. So I really want to know what the fuck happened, because I can't believe that this guy who shouldn't be entitled to, in a way where he should get a starting role and we should be okay with it, right? Because he's just
Yeah.
not that type of player. He
No,
can
and
go
that-
after
and-
big
and
dreams, the
that's
American
okay.
dream. He can live the American dream if he wants, right? He can go after dreams, whatever, all that bullshit, whatever he does with the videos. But you're not that player. Like, you're still good. We still love to have you, but
And you still have a
Kelly
career
Oubre.
ahead of you.
What do you,
right?
Kelly Oubre? Yeah.
So like, why not come play for this team? You know, if they don't renew your contract at the end of the year, you become an unrestricted free agent. The market will dictate your value. Even if you end up being like a mid-level exception guy and you get like $5 million a year, you know that the whole thing for Jae Crowder is like, dude, I just got to make it to the 24-25 season, because when that TV deal hits 24-25 or 25-26, he's like, if I can make it there, they're going to be handing out stupid. The mid-level player deal will be like 10 million. You know, the mid-level exception. So it's like all he's got to do is get there. But now all he's doing is leaving a wake of shit behind him. And like Black Sunday says, again, thank you for the $2 donation. The podcast really appreciates it. He goes, you see that burner account that Jay made? I heard about this. He made like a burner account, like something. And Black Sunday, maybe explain it in the chat, then we can bring it up. But he liked to post that somebody said, you know, where it's kind of bullshit. And it was just like, and then he deleted it right away. It's like, it's obvious shit. Like, now he's just sitting around toying, and he's
You get bored when you're sitting at home.
Yes.
You get bored when you sit at home, you start rearranging furniture. Now you're sending out weird texts like this, or tweets. I mean,
yeah.
like, that's weird. If that's really happening.
People will call you right away on your shit. So, I mean, again,
he was such a loved guy here and like everywhere in the
was.
NBA. And I'm not saying it's like going to ruin his career, but dude, like, coming back to this team wouldn't have been the worst thing. You're still going to make your money no matter what. I feel like I've always felt that way, but whatever.
I do as well. And unfortunately, you know, for Jay, it's just not working out. And we appreciate everything that he did for us, but it's like, that's the last thing. That's the last thing this team is going to do, is they're going to trade Jae Crowder. They're going to get some asset back for it. And hopefully it's something that's going to be that missing piece that we need. But right now we're not showing a lot of holes. But Matthew, you were hanging out tonight on the Timberwolves subreddit. So maybe they had some advice about kind of what their option or what they viewed. Maybe they saw some holes in the Phoenix Suns.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
All right, Matthew, what happened on the Minnesota Timberwolves subreddit?
So the first time I logged in, I think it was in the second quarter, because I'm like, oh shit, I got to do the subreddit stakeout.
I'm glad you did. I was working. I was like, I hope he's doing it. I'm sitting there having a meeting with like my regional vice president. And we're talking about food costs and how do we affect our food costs? And I'm in my head, I'm like, I hope Matthew's doing the subreddit stakeout right now, because I'm not going to be home until about halftime.
Yeah, I got a text and it wasn't for me. I'm like, oh shit, that's subreddit stakeout. I think I got to do it. So yeah, I did it. And then the first thing I saw was call a timeout. Call a timeout. It was when the Suns were on a run and they were up 31-24.
Oh, wow. That's
and you could
invigorating
just tell
shit.
Yeah.
Those Timberwolves fans, man. Wow.
It's crazy, right? But that just reminds me of me. Call a timeout. And I made it reminded me of like how I don't even have to ask for that anymore. I feel like,
yes,
because he's done such a good job with timeouts now, Monty. The D-Lo hate. So the D-Lo hate say,
yes, tell us about this.
D-Lo in foul trouble is probably a blessing. So they're saying that it's a blessing if he is in foul trouble, you know, disrespect. D-Lo hater, rocket fuel engaged. And then after that, dude, it was just nonstop. Just like the porn stuff in our chat just kept listening down low, kept going. All the D-Lo hate. Just
all
nonstop,
anti-D-Lo
man.
shit.
Yeah. And then they bring up the Crowder thing. This is actually the last one because
interesting.
I didn't do it towards the end of the game.
Wow,
Crowder
what
is
did you do the whole game?
Well,
Watch it,
dude. The subreddit, that's a hard thing to remember. It's like you're doing the notes, and then you get up and walk around your house. You forget what the hell you're doing, so you go back and sit down, and then you forget that you're doing subreddit stakeout for the rest of the time.
Geriatric fuck.
So Crowder is just sitting at home instead of playing ball because he thinks he's a starter when he's really not. Even people know what's going on with the Suns and Crowder.
The Timberwolves fans know what's going on with Crowder. And to that point, shout out again to Black Sunday in the chat. He said it was a random account on Twitter with a random pick and tweeted that they went to the Sun shop and demanded a Jae Crowder jersey and they denied them. A bunch of exclamation marks, all caps. And then Jay replied to it. And
I did see that.
And then shout out to our friends, the Aussie Suns fans pod, said deleted it when he got called out that it was a burner. So that's what he's doing. He's sitting around.
We got too many favorites. Who's gonna want his jersey over like Jock or anybody else off the bench, even Payne right now. Like there's so many favorites right now, dude.
And that was the subreddit stick.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
I do want to shout out Dumbass Beesh. He says, can we respect how much less toxic Timberwolves Reddit are than Warriors Reddit? Yes. Warriors subreddit is like, if you're ever bored, just go to their subreddit during a game. Like I don't understand those kind of human beings. They're literally just a bunch of Klay Thompsons holding up the 4. Anytime like anything happens, they're like, yeah, well, we got 4 rings. Yeah, we got 4 rings. It's like new money. It's so funny.
Well, you didn't know. I didn't really dig that much though. So there could have been stuff there, but for some reason I walk around and
again,
I forget
Jamster, if you want one thing that I like to do, and this is me like low level trolling, is sometimes when I'm doing the subreddit stakeout, and I got the next one. I got the Portland game. Is that our next game? Portland? Friday?
Portland and then Portland, right?
Yeah,
Twice.
double
Yeah.
Portland. Is like every now and then I'll go through and like every anti-Suns comment, I just downvote. It's like low-key trolling. Like it doesn't affect anything, but like I know that's what matters. It's like
I'm
so you can do the same thing,
man.
You can do the same thing. We can start this whole thing where all of Reddit hates us. That's one thing we don't want is all of Reddit hating our podcast because we'll get fucking murdered. Reddit's a whole beast unto itself. But they're like, hold on, that podcast is actively promoting going out and downvoting subreddits that they're playing against them. You petty fucks. I'm like, yeah, well, that's a podcast. We're just here just trying to have a good time. All right, let's hand out some hardware, shall we, Matthew?
Yes.
Jam Star of the Game.
As a reminder, Jamsters, if you're watching along live, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not watching along live, go to YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. And if you're listening to the podcast, give us a 5-star review. Go to Apple, leave us a review, 5 stars, write something. We'll read it right here on the pod. If you have an Android, go to your friend who has an Apple, say, can I borrow it? Look up podcasts, find the Suns Jam Session, give us a 5-star review. God damn it. Come on, help a guy out. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm surprised we're this late into the pod, man. Just some good conversations, I guess, about Karl Anthony Towns and Jae Crowder.
Yeah, we got those out of the way, huh?
So I do love this. Fabio, I believe you said this earlier as well. Cam Star of the Game. Matthew, who you giving the Jam Star of the Game to? I got to know.
Oh, it's Cam. It's the first one for sure. Well earned, man. So
what a game for him. What a game. Kiko says Jamstar is the Twins. Hold on.
Twins.
Who gets it, Matthew? It's the
Twins.
That's from Kiko. I love that little.
Those twins are ugly too. Have you seen them? Remember what they look like?
No.
Oh, sorry. That was actually really rude. All right.
Wow. Jeez, man. Judge a book by its cover much? Walter Lazo, Elite Jamster, gives it to Cam. David Ray gives it to Cam Johnson. You got Shauna giving it to the Twins. Parker Hines to the Twins. Dumbass Beach to Cam J. Cam Johnson for Crazy Luigi. Fabio, like I said, Cam Star of the Game. Cam Johnson. Cam. Only one man that's 23. Yeah, buddy. Michael Jordan. Without a doubt, it's Cam. Bam, bam, bam. Cam from Mike. Shout out to Mike, man. I remember that time you met up with us at Marley's and watched the game there. The Aussies Suns Fans Podcast. Give them a follow. Give them a listen. Fantastic content. I assume that's Gavin, who's commenting from their YouTube channel. Has to be Cam
Marley's.
Remember that time we were at Marley's?
I never went to Marley's. Did we do a live show from there?
No, we're just hanging out, and like we had mentioned to some Jamsters, we were going to be there, and Mike was there. He was sitting right next to us. Maybe you didn't show up.
No, I was sick.
That's right. You were sick. Yeah. I was there with my cousins. But shout out to Mike.
Okay.
But hey, Cam Johnson, everyone, the reason I'm saying Cam is because it's Cam Star of the Game, the Jam Star. Everybody down the chat, everybody. Cam Johnson. What a game, man.
Yes.
What a game. Babyface killer. He was fantastic tonight. And again, I love that when those kind of games happen on a national audience because everybody, they know who Devin Booker is. But to see Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson play that way on a national audience, it's just a reminder. It's like, hey, motherfuckers, we deep. We deep. We didn't even do the Jock Landale drop this game because, in my opinion, he didn't have a great game. But you know what? I didn't expect him to because he's playing against those two big fucks. So it's like, you know what? He went out there. He did his thing. He had 4 points, in 16 minutes. Well, whatever. That's okay. He'll get his drop next time.
It's okay, man. He had such a good season so far. This is like his one kind of down game.
But that's the beauty of this team. Is the depth of this team. So next game, obviously, for the Phoenix Suns is Friday against the Portland Trailblazers. We'll be coming to you live. Revenge opportunity, Matthew?
Yeah, dude, the one loss.
A one loss. They've only one loss, or they only have one loss as well. They do play Memphis tomorrow without Dame Lillard, so it'll be interesting to see how they play in that game. But if they win that game, that's going to be 2 6-1 teams facing off.
Game of the week.
Game of the week, Friday night. So we got that, and then Saturday we'll be live too. So
is it Friday, Saturday? Okay.
It's a Friday, Saturday back-to-back baseball-style series. That's going to end the homestand, and then the Phoenix Suns have a 3-game road trip starting with the Philadelphia 76ers. So, early games next week. A week from today.
Oh, so, cool. Okay, I love those early games.
I do and I don't.
Yeah, this seems awesome. I mean, I think I was sick of seeing him, but then Anthony Simons is like that guy that steps up and he's like the number 2 now in the place of Lillard. And I honestly, watching him, I'm just like, dude, like he's so quiet and kind of reminds me of Kawhi Leonard in a way where he's just very calm, doesn't talk any shit, doesn't look like he's scary that way. So they have a lot of talent there and they're kind of healthy. I think Lillard will probably be back. Good thing he's not out for a long time because I want to see how that team gels. And no one was up on him except for I think Skeets from No Dunks. He's like the only guy that was up on the Portland Trail Blazers. And I think that this team's very talented. They can shoot the hell out of the ball. It's one of those things where you play this team and all of a sudden you see yourself, you're down by 12 or 14. Like, what the fuck? That's the way they play. So it'll be interesting. I hope Lillard's healthy. I want some revenge, dude, for that one loss.
Yes,
I wish I won that game.
That's all I got to say about that. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here, Matthew? Great game by the Phoenix Suns, 6-1, baby. Playing well, playing great.
No, DRB 417. Who's your top 5 teams? Lakers, and Lakers. Oh, wait, that's how many losses they have. Those are 5 losses or 1 and 5.
I like how they were calling them on the broadcast. They're like, that's the worst team in the NBA, just period. Like
out of nowhere, just like our podcast.
Yeah, like randomly, they're just like, and the Lakers suck. Am I right? Yeah, no, okay. Yeah. Nobody wants to talk shit about the Lakers. Oh, you fucking fucks. Yeah. No, like, top 5 teams in the NBA. Suns are one of them. That's all that matters to me. So, on that note, Matthew, I think we'll go ahead and get out of here. Again, a reminder to everybody, hit that thumbs up button while you're here. Go ahead, subscribe, rate, and review to the podcast if you're a listener. Make sure you follow the show at Suns Jam on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can follow Matthew on Twitter.
I'm Matthew Lucy.
You can follow me on Twitter at Darth Voida and read all of my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. That's all I got. Everyone have a fantastic Tuesday evening. We'll see you come Friday night.
All right, go home, love your family.
And
the hell out of here.